The strong one in families is rarely the healthiest person. Usually, they're just the person who learned breaking down wasn't allowed, and eventually that role becomes a prison. Let's talk about how the role begins. Often in childhood emotional environments, becoming easy or being mature for your age, and also emotional parentification, where essentially you are doing the caregiving for your emotional caregiver, as well as an internal belief that my needs create problems, create someone who becomes the strong person. Let's talk about the performance of strength. Being dependable becomes your identity. And often strong people overfunction because that is what is expected of them. Caretaking is a form of self-worth. I always take care of others. I always look out for others, as well as a high achiever or perfectionist overlap. Many, most likely because perfectionists believe that they can handle anything, and that if they can't, then that would make them a failure, which is something that is the worst thing that could happen to someone who identifies as a perfectionist. And oftentimes they have above average or well above average expectations for themselves and how they conduct themselves. And they often struggle to ask for help, which makes them be the strong one, right? But guess what happens when you're the strong one? Oftentimes you have no one who looks out for you. And let's talk about the hidden exhaustion aspect. Oftentimes there's chronic nervous system activation where you struggle between fight, flight, freeze, or fawn. I tend to, when I get overly stressed, freeze, and I essentially forget things like my keys and my wallet and other fun things that I shouldn't forget. And my brain just goes blank. It's almost like it goes in hyperactive mode, and I don't know where I've put things. So it gets extremely difficult sometimes, as well as emotional suppression. A lot of times people who are the strong one tend to mask their emotions. They tend to not be emotional at all or want others to see them as weak or like they need help because they are the strong one. And the strong one is almost like a badge of honor, as well as somatic symptoms. If you are a person that has experienced somatic symptoms, you know, for instance, sometimes loneliness can be in your chest. Stomach and digestive problems generally deal with, like if you're having issues in your stomach, is generally anxiety. And so it's your body and your mind work together to create these symptoms that you can become attuned to and figure out what is actually bothering you based on your somatic symptoms. There's also somatic release and various other aspects of somatic therapy that can actually help people. Also, there's the idea of being the strong one causes you resentment mixed with guilt because you feel guilty for not living up to what you're supposed to because you feel like you're weak and you feel like you can't handle everything that everyone expects you to handle. And burnout feels like failure instead of overload. And let's talk about the relationship change. Attracting emotionally dependent people because you are the strong one. You are the one who lifts others up, oftentimes not asking for anything in return because you know what it's like to not have people around you who can actually help you and assist you. And you become the fixer for everything. But do you have a fixer that you can go to? Most likely not. And boundaries can feel selfish initially, but ultimately, if you do not take boundaries and enforce boundaries, then you are going to be the person left cold and dry, essentially. And ultimately, grieving old dynamics where things seem simple, where things were happier times, or maybe where people weren't so dependent upon you because you realize that you ultimately are struggling to keep up with it all. And let's talk about healing. Healing is strength versus emotional armor. You don't always have to be strong. You have moments where you're going to be weak too, and that's okay because that's what we all do. We all have moments of strength and we also have moments of weakness. Find someone that you can rely on. Find someone that you can trust who can actually get you through those difficult moments. And start regulating instead of performing because performing is so hollow and performing is also lonely and sad and you're preventing yourself from real connection. And learn some softness. It's okay to be emotional. It's okay to put down your armor for a little bit and be who you are and to talk to people openly and honestly. If you feel like there's someone that you can't, that you're not able to talk to, then maybe looking into getting a therapist or a counselor to maybe help you walk through some of your emotions, as well as letting people misunderstand you sometimes. There's no harm in that, no shame in that. Not everybody's going to fully understand us, and that's okay, because we likely don't fully understand everyone either. And also, discovering your identity outside of your usefulness in your family unit is extremely important, because you're more than that role. You are a complete three-dimensional person who has different strengths and different weaknesses, and you don't always have to be on. So in closing, the strongest people are not the people who never fall apart. They're the people who finally realize they were never supposed to carry the entire emotional weight of the world alone. Thank you for tuning in to Recovering Perfectionist Mama, Grace in Progress. My name is Buffy, and I just want to say thank you for tuning in. And if you got some value from this, please feel free to like and subscribe. I'd greatly appreciate it. And I hope to see you again soon. Bye-bye.